What's up, LA Live Gang? This is your boy AC. Hey, and I'm here with a special early morning edition of LA Sports Live. As you guys come to the video, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button. It really helps the channel out, and I really appreciate it. It pushes out the video in the algorithm, and the more people watching, the better. But it all starts with you guys hitting that like button. So make sure you hit that like button as you come into the building. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. And while you at it, make sure you hit that notification bell. Hit all so you'll be getting all the notifications every time I drop a video here on YouTube. And once again, as you guys come into the building, go ahead and hit that like button. We got a special update on this Kevin Durant situation. The news came across the wire last night, but I want to wait till like at least about 6 West Coast time to drop the story. Um, there's more information. There's more information slowly leaking out about the situation going on in Brooklyn. And like I said before, this it's a major problem in Brooklyn, guys. It's a major problem. And uh, when I get done with this video, excuse me, well, first thing first, and all those silly ass shows come on Fox and ESPN, they better be talking about how much of a shit show the Brooklyn Nets are right now, because it's totally unfair. All the trash they talk about the Lakers the last few years, and the Lakers, no matter what happened, they kept all these star players happy. But this ain't the case in Brooklyn, as you guys are about to find out with the story about in the news I'm about to drop right here. This information comes courtesy of Nets Kingdom. If you're a Nets fan, go ahead and subscribe to Nets Kingdom. What's up, Blue Boat? Look, Blue Boat. What's up, Blue Boat? What's cracking, AC? This situation is a shitstorm. Shaking my head. They might as well trade him right now. Yeah, trade Kyrie to look. Trade Kyrie to the Lakers. That should be the first order of business, right? Trade Kyrie, trade Kyrie to the Lakers. Hey, where my damn glasses are? So I can read this. I can't see. Anyway, let's get to it. You guys want to hear about KD, right? So look, I speculated. I speculated in the numerous amount of videos that on his face it just doesn't make sense. Everybody's saying KD sounds like a spoiled brat or whatever. I said, nah. In order for him, we already know his past, and I don't judge his past at all because he did what he felt like he had to do. But I'm like, but given his past, and now for him to want to come out of Brooklyn, there must be some behind the scenes, some severe stuff going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to that has caused this situation to happen. And that's what I'm finding out, man. That's what I'm finding out. And actually, it's been a problem since the beginning. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But we concerned about Kyrie now. If KD wants to come too, we'll take him. You know what I'm saying? If KD wants to come to, we'll take him. But you know what, man? Nah, I think I really kept I really keep AD, man, because AD younger, and when he's going to be healthy, he's going to be motivated. He's going to help us more on both ends. Whereas KD does, and he can play defense. But the thing is, he does it when it's absolutely necessary, specifically in the playoffs. But anyway, let's get to it. So this situation with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and the Nets management, it goes back to the very beginning. The first year they were there, or they fired the coach Kenny Atkinson. So there was a head coaching search. Most people felt, and it was widely reported, that Kyrie and KD were in favor of Steve Nash getting his job, but that's just not the truth. That is not the truth, according to these reports. People speculated because KD had worked, directly, indirectly with Nash in Golden State, that he approved of this, but no, that's not the case. According to reports, um, Both players wanted, had their own ideas about who they wanted to be coach. Now, Kyrie Irving, he wanted Phil Handy, Lakers assistant and player development coach. He wanted Phil Handy to be the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. If you follow this channel, you've been following it for a long time. I think I had a video up maybe 2 years ago saying that the Brooklyn Nets were interested in hiring Laker coach Phil Handy, and I believe they asked for permission, but the Lakers said "F you, we're not going to give you permission to talk to Phil Handy," and that was the end of that. That was the end of that. Kevin Durant, on the other hand, he wanted Ty Lue. I repeat, Kevin Durant, he wanted Ty Lue to be the next head coach for the Brooklyn Nets. Um, they spoke, and Ty Lue told KD, "Look, before I even get interview or throw my name in the hat, please tell Kai to call me so we can squash out any whatever discrepancies or whatever beef they may be lingering from our time in Cleveland together. Before I get involved in this, tell Kai to call me. We can talk it out, squash it, and then we'll see what's up." Well, that call never came from Kyrie Irving. So that leads me to believe that Kyrie Irving didn't want to fool with Ty Lue again for whatever reason. So what happens is, Sean Marks, he couldn't get Handy to keep Kyrie happy, and he couldn't get Ty Lue, which is the guy KD wanted. So he just goes out and hires his friend Steve Nash. And what was, excuse me, there was a lot of controversy about that because people were like, Steve Nash has never been a coach, never been a head coach. He's not qualified. And then, given, 2 years ago, and there was some racial components to this. And some people was like, how does he move to the head of the line over all these other assistant coaches? And one of them was Lakers assistant Darvin Ham. But anyway, that's another story. So anyhow, the the thing started off shaky. Now, KD and Kyrie are neither one of them are ever on record saying that they don't like uh, Steve Nash or he's not qualified. But stuff's been being said behind the scenes that lead people to believe otherwise. There's some people are saying that the Nets did everything that KD and Kyrie wanted, but that's just not the case, and that lets you know right there from the beginning that's not the case. Neither one of them got the coach they really wanted. Now, let's fast forward to this past season. Earlier in the season, Steve Nash and his wife they hosted a team dinner at his home, and according to reports, now look, this stuff has been going on for the last two seasons. Mind you, it's been going on the last two seasons. We all heard the reports of Kyrie holding his own practices after the team brand practices. What does that tell you? That's a blatant disrespect to the coach right there. But anyway, at this dinner at Steve Nash's home, reportedly, according to reports, salute to everybody in the chat, salute the Lakers over everything. Reportedly, Kyrie Irving said, "Oh, I'm glad to be here. I want to see I want to see Kobe Bryant's MVP statue." I repeat, salute to everybody in the chat. That's it, brother. That's it, Reg Dog. Um, Kyrie straight walks up to Kevin Nash, Steve Nash, and said, "What's up, Laker fan for life?" He walks up to his head coach and says, "Hey, man, nice home. I would like to see Kobe Bryant's MVP statue." Now, if that's not a shot, if that's not disrespectful, what do you call it? I mean, a lot of people feel how they feel. You guys, Laker fans, you know that that is Kobe Bryant's MVP statue, and Kyrie didn't have a problem telling his coach that's how he felt about it. So that rubbed Steve Nash the wrong way. Now, fast forward to this season. We know how the season ended. Um, when when the beard James Harden was traded to the Nets and then he eventually got traded away. It was reported in the media that James Harden had problem with Kyrie. They always want to blame everything on Kyrie, but that's not the case. That's not the case. According to the reports, it was James Harden. He had issues with Steve Nash. He had problems with Steve Nash, and that's why he wanted out, and he was summarily traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. Not a bad deal that Sean Marks pulled off. Not a bad deal. They got some decent compensation. And Ben Simmons and all that other kind of stuff. So anyway, uh, fast forward to this season, we saw how the season ended for um, the Nets. They were swept in the first round by Boston. Regardless of what you think happened in that series or whatever, there's no there. Look, the Nets went into the playoffs struggling. What, they were a seventh seed, right? I think seventh seed or whatever, six, whatever. They were struggling. No Kyrie most of the season. Ben Simmons never played one game as a Brooklyn Nets the whole season. So what you can't just throw people to think together and think they're going to go far in the playoffs, and they're definitely not going to beat a team like the Boston Celtics, who are on a hell of a roll. They were on a hell of a roll and played together the whole season. It just wasn't going to happen. But it was widely felt that Steve Nash was severely outcoached in that series. And you guys remember when that series was over, there was speculation, and questions, should Steve Nash be fired, because hell, man, you just don't get swept like that, and you don't get swept by, even though he was only in his second year, he shouldn't have got swept by a guy who was in his first year coaching. Come on now. And so things really went downhill from there after the season was over. You guys know the situation with Kyrie Irving's contract uh, negotiation. They did not offer him a full extension. That was another issue that pissed off Kyrie, and then of course pissed off KD, because they were a package deal when they got there together. And then when the season was over, um, the Nets started firing uh, different coaches on the staff. And one in particular, I can't remember his name, but he was a player development coach. He was a favorite of Kevin Durant. And the Nets went behind his back, didn't get his permission, which they were previously getting counsel from KD and Kyrie. And believe it or not, Kyrie was the point man, between uh, the team and the management. He was the guy, not KD. It was Kyrie who was basically running the ship. Management went behind their backs, fired all these coaches that they were cool with. And you guys remember they had a number of coaches on staff, but one coach that was a former player, Mari Stoudemire, they fired him. That pissed off KD and Kyrie. And then they were bringing all these other coaches in, and I I'm trying to find a good way to say it, but uh, there was some issues with the coaches that Steve Nash was bringing in, because, quite honestly, it's too early in the morning. I can't find the white words, but all the coaches he was bringing in was white, and there was some issues amongst the players. Uh, they felt that they were having a hard time relating to some of these coaches he was bringing in, and I'm just telling you what the report said. I'm just telling you what the report said. So there was another problem, and then I guess finally, Kate, all these things. I'm trying to see if I got everything, if I reported everything. Let me check my notes here. Yeah, so that was just like the start. That was just like the straw that broke the camel's back, that pissed off KD. Uh, they weren't coming to him or Kyrie about the decisions. They were firing coaches who the guys really liked. They had a head coach where he was plain as day that he was severely outcoached in the playoffs, and they didn't want to make a move. So I guess, and then on top of that, with Kyrie's contract extension, and with the management coming out basically when the season was over and trashing, excuse me, trashing Kyrie, and saying that he had to change his attitude and all this other kind of stuff in order for their relationship uh, to in order for the relationship to advance, to go forward, and for him to continue as a net long term. Remember they talked all that trash about Kyrie when the season was over. Um, that was another straw that broke the camel's back. And then on top of that, Katie specifically, he was not happy about the Ben Simmons issue, the Ben Simmons situation. Because you guys remember during the playoffs, there was a lot of speculation as to when and if Ben was going to play. They were saying, oh, if they make it out of this round, he can play in the next round. Or they were saying, oh, okay, well, he's going to play by game 2 or by game 3 or game 4 and all this other kind of stuff. And of course, we know he never played. But according to this report, it finally was released that in in during the playoffs in the team chat, um, they were KD and the crew. They were confronting Ben Simmons on, look here, bro. We know you playing. We know you warm up. We see you at the facility. You look okay. Are you gonna play in the next game, game 3 or game 4? And they said, uh, Ben Simmons he just hit the eject button. Ben Simmons tucked tail and removed himself from the group chat. So I mean, is everything's just in disarray, and KD, he came out and requested a trade at the beginning of free agency. Um, we all heard the ridiculous demands. We all heard the ridiculous demands that the Nets were asking for, the outrageous packages, and if Kevin Durant was 27, and hadn't had these major injuries, 28, and hadn't had these major injuries, yes, those packages that they were asking for Kevin Durant, that would be legit. 3, 4, 5 first round picks, a good young all star player, and promising young players. That would be fair. But even though KD may be a top 5, top 7 player, whatever you want to call him, at this age, 33, and given his uh, injury history, uh, they the stuff they was asking for wasn't realistic, and no contending team is going to ravage their team and their assets to get a 33-year-old Kevin Durant. So basically, KD and his representation felt that the Nets were pussyfooting and not really trying to find a legit deal, not really trying to meet his demands. So that's why he just had to come out and say, "Hey, f you guys. If you want to keep me, you got to get rid of these two clowns." And basically, you know, I that doesn't mean that KD really wants these guys fired, but he just basically publicly challenged the coach. I mean, it's not the coach, the owner, and he knows as the owner of that team, there's no way, especially with this being done publicly, there's no way that he's going to fire the coach and the general manager after a player calls for him to do it publicly. The other owners in the league, hell, the other owners from other leagues are going to call Joe Tsai, the owner of the Nets, say, you better not do that shit. You better not. You're going to make us all look bad. You're going to make us all lose credibility and make us all lose power when it comes to these players. So there's no way that Joe Tsai is going to fire uh, the coach or the general manager, Sean Marks or Steve Nash. It's just not going to happen. Um, will they trade? I think they're going to end up trading AD. I mean, AD. I think they're going to end up trading KD. I think they might try to play hardball a little bit longer, and it may drag into camp. But then, if that happens, um, you look to see, because camp don't start till we still got a ways. Camp don't start until maybe close to the end of September. So if no deal is done within the next few weeks, uh, the next thing KD could probably do is be like, look, I'm not coming to camp. I'm not coming to camp. So, unless you guys move me, or if I do come to camp, I'm gonna create a disturbance, kind of like James Harden did. And KD's really not that type of guy, but if he feels like he's being jerked around, he's not being taken serious, that may have to be his next move in order to get what he wants, and that's to ultimately be out of Brooklyn. Now, um, what does that mean for Laker fans or the Lakers and Kyrie? Now, according to this report, also it did address that situation there. It says that Kyrie going to the Lakers is something that is really being pushed and pursued by the Lakers. I repeat, according to this report, the idea of Kyrie Irving leaving the Nets and coming to the Lakers is, you know, not totally one sided, but it's mostly a situation where the Lakers are looking to acquire him, and they have been the ones coming calling, and not so much that the Brooklyn Nets want to trade Kyrie Irving and specifically to trade him to the Lakers. Um, this is according to the reports. This is something that the Lakers are heavily pursuing, not so much by the Nets. Now we'll see what happens because ultimately Kyrie may have to come out. He may have to come out and request a trade. He hasn't done so yet, but he may have to in order to get the ball rolling and force the Nets to get off their hands, stop sitting on their hands, and then make a legit deal and get it done. So this is still a developing story. If you ask me, if these guys get traded, they get moved or whatever the case may be, like I said, yeah, it's all negotiations. Lakers fan for life said, but the Nets and the Lakers front office acting like two dummies. Yeah, it's all negotiations. There was also another report that came out last night. Another report saying that I'm sure you guys heard it. The Lakers, noting the Lakers, their trade negotiation tactics and all that stuff. LeBron James is on board with the waiting game. They have all mutually agreed to play the waiting game and to try to wait and get the best deal, the best deal possible to get the best package possible. And we all know, of course, their first priority will be to get Kyrie Irving. Hey, you guys, make sure you hit the like button. I repeat, their priority will be to get Kyrie Irving, and they all know. They have all agreed, even with LeBron James, that the best strategy will be to wait. Will be to wait. So, how long, man? I think it's all going to crack. I think it's all going to crack by training camp because the Lakers don't want to bring Russ in the training camp to cause problems. And the Nets definitely don't want to bring KD and Kyrie into training camp and possibly disrupt the camp as well. Especially, they changed a few things, brought in some new players, some new coaches, and they just want to start with a clean slate. So I think it's gonna crack before training camp. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's gonna crack before training camp. But that's the news. That's the update, guys. I'm gonna do another video a little bit later, detailing the information that came out with the Lakers specifically. Um, there was some news that came out from Yahoo Sports, and it kind of detailed the Lakers' strategy moving forward, which is, like I noted earlier, the waiting game to get the best deal. But I'll break that down in another video later today. But I just want to jump on real quick early, bring you guys the news, and hey, make sure you guys stay tuned to LA Sports Live. When I get the news, I'll bring it to you, and I'm gonna be first, if possible. Somebody hit that outro for me, and then I will rap with you guys later.